Hello everyone. So in this tutorial we'll be going over operational statements such as if clauses. It's listed here under decision making, and we'll be going through all of this with practical examples. But before we begin, I want to recap what we learned in the first part of the tutorial. So we learned that there are more data types. We have the decimal, we have the boolean, we have the character, we have the integer, we have the string, which I can't find right here, and we learned something about arrays as well. So now we know that we can declare an integer value and give it a value. We also know that we can do arithmetic operations on these integers, such as addition, subtraction, division, and we can do it simply by making a new variable with the same type, and we give it an equal sign, and we can, for instance, add 5 to our previous variable. So we can go like 5 plus my number. We learned that we can create several types of arrays. So for instance, we have an integer array, which we declare like this, and we can insert some numbers. We can even insert the result that we specified before, and so forth. So that's what we learned in the previous video. And now in the previous video, we also built like a small lottery game, which I would like to show again in this tutorial, because we'll be going through if statements. So in order to understand if statements, you always have to imagine it like a question. That's how I do it. That's my preferred way to do it. So I won't be using, I'll actually go into Notepad, and we're gonna start asking ourselves some questions. So let's say a user gave us the number 10. So now, for example, we want to somehow check if the number is greater than 5. So we ask ourselves, if the number, if 10, we want to ask ourselves if the number 10 is greater than 5. So we go like this: if the number 10 is greater than 5, then we do something here. But if that is not the case, maybe the number now is 4, then this won't happen, because it is not true. 4 is not bigger than 5. So now anything that we wrote in here will not happen until this condition is satisfied. I'm gonna make it a variable here because it will be easier to follow that way. So let's say the int number equals 4. So now let's check it like this: if our variable named number is bigger than 5, and this statement will check this condition, and it's going to decide whether it is true or not. anything inside if statements inside these brackets must be a Boolean value. So it can either be only true or only false. So another way to do if statements is with Boolean. So we can have a Boolean. Let's declare a Boolean, my Boolean, and let's set it to true. So now if we want to check if the variable is true, we just go like if my Boolean. You can also add equals true, but this is sufficient enough because it's already set to true. So if the Boolean is true, something that we wrote inside here will happen. But let's say that we want to we can also check for the Boolean if it's false. So if the Boolean is false, something will happen, but if it's true, nothing will happen. So I want to take this example a little bit forward and add an else statement here. So what's an else? So you can imagine else in like a real life scenario. So we can go like this because it will be easier for you to understand if I give you a real life example. So I'm gonna give this Boolean a bit longer name right now, just to show you guys an example. So the Boolean is gonna be named, did I bring my umbrella? I'm sorry for the long name, that's usually not something you want to do, but it's easier for me to demonstrate to you guys what I mean by this. So we have a Boolean here now, and as you can see it's named, did I bring my umbrella? And we set it to true, so it means we brought our umbrella. So let's type this if statement again. So if did I bring my umbrella equals true, then we want to write out, for example, console.writeLine, I brought my umbrella. So if this variable right here is set to true, this will happen. But if it's not set to true, this won't happen. Anything inside these brackets won't happen. So now let's try to escalate this a bit. We can add an else statement here, which is basically just asking yourself for the opposite scenario. And the opposite scenario here is false. So that means if we go in the else, we're gonna say console.writeLine, I didn't bring my umbrella. Because right here it's checking if this is false. We can also reverse this and we can insert true. We can insert false here and copy this here. I'll explain in a bit what it does. So now we're checking off if this variable is false, which is not, so this won't happen. It's gonna write out, I didn't bring my umbrella. But in the opposite case, when it's gonna be true, because here it's false. It's gonna say I brought my umbrella. So there is this graph, I mean a diagram here that I want to show you guys. So as you can see, we enter with a condition. So did I bring my umbrella? And if the condition is true, this conditional code will happen. This box will happen. But if the condition is false, the code won't happen. As you see from the lines, this code won't happen. So now we've covered the basics of the if statement. In the if statement, you can have more variables to check. And I'm going to be moving to C# to show you these examples. So right now, the did I bring my umbrella variable is set to true. And now it's checking. If did I bring my umbrella is false, write out, no, I didn't bring my umbrella. And in the opposite case, it's gonna write out, I brought my umbrella. So if we run this, you can see that it's gonna say, I brought my umbrella, because this is set to true. But if we set it to false, it's gonna say, I didn't bring my umbrella. I actually wrote umbrella. So now, I want to escalate this lesson a bit and try to add nested if statements, which are also very useful for real life scenarios. You're going to be using these a lot, probably. So it's very important. What should you take away from this lesson? You should know that anything inside these brackets, inside of an if, must be a Boolean value. So this condition inside these brackets can either be true or it can be false. So if you're checking for false here, then over here it's gonna check for true. But if you're here and checking for true, in the else statement, it's gonna be checking for false, because it's else. You can actually ask yourself the question in real life, you know. You can go like, if I brought my umbrella, then I brought my umbrella. And if not, the if not is the else here. Then it's gonna say, I didn't bring my umbrella. So that's really important for you to understand, because we're going to be using if statements a lot in our next courses, and generally almost always you're gonna be using if clauses. So the advanced version of if clauses are nested if clauses. These are nested if statements. It says you can use one if or else if statement inside if or else if statements. We're not going to be going through else if statements because I don't think it's necessary, but I'll show you guys an example of what an nested if statement looks like, and I'll be explaining along the way. So let's say we declare another variable and we name it bool, is it raining? And let's say it's raining. So true means that it's raining. Okay. So what we can do now is, let's delete these first. These are not nested if statements yet. They're these are multiple condition if statements. So in an if clause, we can check for 2 or more cases. So we can go if is it raining equals true, and did I bring my umbrella equals false. Then we can write out console.writeLine. It's raining and I didn't bring my umbrella. So now it's gonna say it's raining and I didn't bring my umbrella. So what's this? What's this operator right here? These are called operators, by the way. There's 2 operators I mainly use at work. This is the first one. It's an AND operator. So this basically means AND. I'm gonna put a comment here. And you have this one. This is the OR. So you can actually ask yourself the if statement out loud and you can check if it's true. So if is it raining equals true and did I bring my umbrella equals false, then we execute the code between these 2 brackets. But if these 2 conditions are not met, we can go like console.writeLine. It's not raining, but I brought my umbrella anyway. Oh, sorry, I forgot to change the values. It's not raining, but I brought my umbrella anyway. Because this is now set to true and this is now set to false. This condition is not gonna be true. So this is not gonna happen. So you can actually add even more operators here. Like maybe you can check another condition. Let's say bool, do I have a coat? You can set it to true. And do I have a coat equals true. And I have my coat. So all these conditions need to be true in order for this to execute. If not, this is going to happen. So that's what I wanted to show you guys about the basics of if statements and these operators right here. But now I want to move on towards nested if statements. So we're gonna check these out right now. So I'm gonna keep this variable. I want to show you guys an example for the OR as well. I'm gonna add another boolean and I'm gonna name it bool is there thunder, and let's say it's true. So now we can ask ourselves if is there thunder equals true, or I'm gonna rename this one, is it raining equals true. So now the question is is there thunder or is it raining? Then we're gonna write out, we're gonna write out it's either raining or there's thunder. So even if we set the thunder to false, So that means there is not thunder. It's still going to happen, because when you have an OR operator, only one condition inside here needs to be true. So we can add more false variables, and I'm just gonna name it A, B, C, and D, and we can add them here. Or A equals true, or B equals true, or C equals true, or D equals true. I messed up somewhere here. What did I mess up? If is there thunder equals true. Oh, sorry. So now, as you can see, we only have one true variable here. We have one variable that's set to true. All of these are set to false. And if only one of these equals true, this is still going to happen. As you can see, it happened. So that's what you need to know about these conditional statements. We're going to be using them in our next tutorials, and I'll be re-explaining them, but not so in depth like I did now. So yeah, I hope you understand these now. So now I'm actually going to dive into the conditional, to the nested if state, if clauses. So let's make a numbers example. These are nested if clauses. Sorry if you keep misusing the word. So let's say we have a number, and let's set it to 5. So we can declare another boolean, and we can call it is number greater than 2, and we can go like number. These are these kind of operators, the question mark operators. They work similarly to an if statement, but they're written in a shorter fashion. So the first part is the question: if this happens, if not, this happens. So if number is greater than 2, set it to true, and if not, set it to false. So the easiest way to understand this is you can go like, so right here, because of this equal sign, you're obviously setting a value for this boolean. So first off, we're checking if number is greater than 2, set this variable to true. If not, set it to false. You can mirror this with an if statement, just so you understand. So if number is greater than 2, is number greater than 2 equals true. So else is number greater than true equals false. So this and this is the same thing, but here it's written in a shorter version, as you can see. I use this a lot, these kind of if statements, and at work. I use them in JavaScript. I use them here. I like them a lot because they don't take a lot of space, and they're just easy to understand and simple enough. You can nest these as well, but it's not important right now, so we won't go through them. So now let's start with the nested if clauses. So let's say you want to check if number is greater than 2. So let's say in this case, yay, the number is greater than 2. Here we know that the number is greater than 2. So here we can write out the number is greater than 2. But if it's not, else the number is smaller than 2. Okay, so let's say you want to check for more scenarios. So how would you go about on this? So let's start here. So now because this number is 5, and here it checks if the number is greater than 2, everything inside these brackets will execute, and everything inside these brackets won't, because the number is not smaller than 2. So let's say, so now we're inside here. We know, oh, I already wrote the comment. Here we know that the number is greater than 2. So what's nesting? So let's say inside here, we want to check if the number is 4. So we want to guess if the number is 4. So we do that by if number equals 4. And we put in the brackets. And here we know the number is 4. Okay, so as you can see, you can nest this a long way. You can also check if the number is 3. Then the number is 3. So you see, these are nested if clauses. So what's going to happen here? So the starting number will be 5. And first off, it's gonna check if the number is greater than 2, then we execute anything inside here between lines 14 and 26. So now the program is here. So because the program is being executed line by line, so like this, from up to down, it's gonna start here with this if statement. So inside this if statement, first off, it's gonna check if the number equals 4. And if the number is 4, it's gonna write out the number is 4. We can also check for another case. So let's say the number was not 4, in our case it's not. Now it's gonna check if the number is 3. Then it's gonna write out the number is 3. We can add another check if number equals 5. We can write out the number is 5. So let's execute this. So you'll see what it writes out. It's gonna write out the number is 5. So now we'll be touching breakpoints for a bit. These are very useful to know how your program is behaving. it's very useful for finding out issues in your code as well. So we set the breakpoint by going to the left here, if you look at my mouse, and we set the breakpoint wherever we want to start. So now right now it's set here. So now we can open up our console application, and as you can see, it's gonna be paused. Nothing is gonna happen here. The program is paused and is waiting for your input. So this is the way you use breakpoints. You select step over, and right now if we hover over this number, you can see that it's 5. So right now the program is here, it's highlighted. So as you can see here, the number is 5, so it's bigger than true. So as you can see, the result here is already set to true. So we're gonna go inside here. We go step into, because we're entering brackets. Now we go step over, and now we have another check here. Our number here is still 5. So is 5 equal to 4? No, so this is false. So look how it's gonna skip over this statement. See, this didn't happen. So the next part is if the number equals 3. So this is also false because 5 is not 3. So we can also, it's also going to skip this. But now we're here and it's checking if the number is 5, so this is true. It's gonna say the number is 5, and we can hit continue, and that's it. These are nested if statements. I hope this example was very easy to understand. I didn't want to complicate it more, but these if statements, the nested if statements, are going to be a big part of your programming journey. So I suggest you start practicing these right away. You can also add them in the else statement. They work the same way in the else statements, as you can see. Don't be afraid to use your debugger and follow along with the code, because it will be easier for you to understand if you use the debugger. I want to show you a final example with the nested if clauses. So let's say we declare another number and we set it to 100. So now let's check if number equals 99. We're gonna write out the number is 99. But if not, the number is not 99. So now let's say we're here and the number is actually 99. Or sorry, we're actually here. The number is gonna be 100, so this is not gonna happen. So this is going to happen. Anything here, inside here, is going to happen. But we can make it execute more than one time. So we can have multiple conditions here that we can all execute. We can go like if number equals 100. We can go like the number is 100. We can also go like if number is greater than 50, we can go like the number is also greater than 50. We can also go like if number is smaller than 150, the number is smaller than 150. So now if we set the breakpoint here and we check this out, what's gonna happen? It's gonna declare the number to 100 and it's gonna check this first. So is 100 equal the same as 99? No, it's not. So we go to the else statement. So now it's here and it's gonna ask, is the number 100 true? So as you can see, it's gonna go inside and it's gonna write the number is 100. So now it's gonna check the other conditions because we didn't specify the else clause. So now it's gonna check if the number is greater than 50, which it is. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's go back to where we were. I misclicked. So now it's gonna check if the number is greater than 50, which it is. So this is going to happen as well. As you can see, right now it's gonna say the number is greater than 50. We can have another if, and we can check if the number is smaller than 150, it's gonna say the number is smaller than 150. So now we have all these here, and that's basically it. You can start practicing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't intend to delete it. You can start practicing with these if statements, and we can actually try to solve a puzzle together. Let's say if there are any exercises. I found some exercises. So let's start by solving this one. So this is our first actual if statement exercise. So the instructions are: write a C# program to accept two integers and check whether they are equal or not. Okay, so how do we do that? First off, we need to ask the user to give us the integers. So we go like, please insert the first number. So as we learned in the first part of the video, we have to declare an integer value here. First, name it first number and set it to a value, which we'll be doing by reading from the console. But as we know, we have to parse it to the integer value. So we go like int32.parse. This is going to convert the string value from this to an integer. So now we have the first number. Then we have to ask for the second number. Please insert the second number. And second number. And we're going to be reading it the same way. So now the instructions are, this part is done. So when I was in college, we got a lot of exercises like these, you know. So what I liked to do was to separate them into smaller problems. So let's say all of this, it's a problem that we have to solve. So now we want to separate it to smaller problems, which we can solve individually. So this method of separating a smaller into smaller parts is called per parcel. I'm sorry, per partes. It's called per partes, yeah. I can't find an English one. Sorry, I can't find any English. I can't find any English version of these. So yeah, it's a phrase in Latin. I think it's explained here. So a technique used to find the integral of the product of two functions. No, this is not it. I'm sorry. Per partes in programming. I'm sorry, I can't really find anything on this, but it's basically what they taught us in college. So I'm going to try to illustrate it a bit. So this is per partes. So let's say you have a problem, and all of this is a problem. Let's say this is your big problem. You have to solve this big problem. And what you want to do is you want to separate this problem into smaller problems. You see? And then you go like this. You're gonna solve the first problem, the smaller problem, and it's gonna be this one. And when you solve this problem, one of the problems here will disappear, and this circle is actually gonna start becoming smaller. And as you solve more problems, let's say you solve this problem as well, then this problem is also going to disappear. So you'll be left with an even smaller problem, as you can see. And when you solve the last two problems, on the last two smaller problems, the whole problem is gonna disappear. So you won't have a problem anymore. So all this is gonna be gone. So that's basically per partes. That's how that is my most efficient way to solve any bigger task that we got in college with programming. So let's try to use per partes here. So what do the instructions say? They say write a C# program to accept two integers and check whether they are equal or not. So how can we split this into two parts? We can go like, first part of the problem is accept and read two integers. This is the first part of the problem we have to solve. And as you can see, we already solved this problem here. So the first part of the problem is solved. So what's the second part of the problem? The second part of the problem is check whether they are equal or not. So now we have to solve this problem. And by splitting the problem into scenarios like these will give you an easier time of understanding the problem, because you won't be thinking about the bigger picture, but you'll be solving smaller pictures one by one, and it's coincidentally going to make you solve the whole big picture. So this is what I like to do. So now, as you can see, the problem is check whether they are equal or not. This is also going to give you an easier time asking Google for help. So now, if you don't know how to do this, you can just Google this part of the problem. So we can go like C# how to check if two numbers are the same. So you see, there's a lot of answers here that you can use. So splitting your problem into smaller problems is going to give you an easier time finding the right solution. because you're going to be asking less vague questions. This is very important down the road, so it's a good habit to start practicing. So now we want to check if the numbers are equal or not. So we do that by if first number equals second number. So if this is true, we can write out the numbers are the same. But if it's not true, the numbers are not the same. And we can run. So, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. So now we can run, and it's gonna ask us to insert the first number. So let's say we enter 5. And it's going to ask us to insert the second number. So we're gonna do that. 6. It's gonna say the numbers are not the same. If we go over that with the breakpoints, we have to enter the number. Please insert the first number. So 4. Oh. So as you can see, the first number is now 4. Please insert the second number. We're gonna set it to 4. So now it's gonna check if the first number is equal to the second number, which is true. This is going to happen. The numbers are the same. And it's not going to go to the else statement because this is already true and it's been fulfilled. So that's the end of the program. So this is the solution to the first exercise here. This is another one you guys can do. And this is another one you guys can do. I don't recommend doing this one because I wouldn't do this one because I'm bad with dates. You can do it, but write a C# program to lead the age of a candidate and determine whether is it eligible for casting in his/her own vote. So you can do this one. You can do a lot of these here, but I wouldn't overdo it because it's just important that you know the basics of the if clause. And yeah, the most important part you have to take away from this video are the nested if clauses. These are going to be highly beneficial down the road, and it's best if you start learning them and practicing them right now. So thank you for watching. I hope I explained it well enough. My previous course wasn't as structured as it should be, but I'm going to try to make improvements with every video. And if you have any feedback, or if you're a teacher and if you want to help me by structuring my courses a bit better so more people can understand them, then you're welcome to do so by leaving a comment or messaging me or any way possible. I want to give you guys the best learning experience, and I'm not really a good teacher, but I have a lot of knowledge that I've accumulated over the course of my years as a developer. I'm labeled as a senior developer at my company, but I don't consider myself as such. So yeah, I hope this course was understandable. If you have any as I said, if you have any recommendations on how I could teach better, then you're welcome to let me know. The next part of the course is going to be for loops. We won't go through all of these because I don't think they're that required. I'm going to be following a similar plan that we had in college for you guys. So because I personally think that's the most efficient way to learn. We're going to be skipping a lot of these because a lot of them are just theory crafting, and you're going to be learning them naturally as you become a better developer. But in order to become a better developer, you have to know the basics, the fundamentals, which I'm trying to teach. I'm not trying to teach you guys like encapsulation or like some complex stuff here that's rarely used in real life web development. But I'm trying to teach you guys the basics. So when you guys know the basics and the fundamentals, you can learn these by yourself. And it's going to be way more efficient and way faster than if I try to explain all of these in my courses. So yeah, that's the end of the tutorial. I hope it was enjoyable, and I hope that you learned something, and see you in the next part. Bye.